The door groaned open like it hadn't been touched in decades, and the smell of cold dust pushed out into the sunlight. Nora stepped in first, and then she froze. There, on the splintered wooden floor, lay a tiny boy, curled so tightly it looked like he was trying to disappear. Dirt on his legs, bruises on his arms, a rusted can clutched to his chest like it was the last familiar thing left in his world. And in that moment, she whispered through trembling lips, "Oh my God, how long has he been alone?" Before we begin, let me know in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it for you right now? This story will stay with you. It might break something inside you, but it will also remind you that kindness still changes lives. Now, let's start from the beginning. The abandoned house sat at the edge of Brookhaven, Georgia, lonely, rotting, forgotten. Locals joked it would fall over if a strong breeze hit it, but the little boy inside didn't laugh. He didn't make any sound anymore. Not since the night everything in his life turned to smoke. His name was Cairo Bennett, just 3 years old, with big dark eyes that once lit up at everything. But now those eyes held shadows no child should ever know. The fire started with a storm, one of those southern storms that slam roofs and shake windows. Cairo remembered the rain first, loud, angry. Then the smell of smoke. His mother's voice calling his name, almost singing it through panic. "Cairo, baby, come here, hurry!" He remembered the fear in her smile, how she tried to hide it so he wouldn't cry. He remembered his father dragging boxes toward the door, coughing, eyes red from the flames crawling up the walls. He remembered clutching his favorite metal spoon, staring at the orange glow growing hungrier by the second. Then, a crack, a scream, a ceiling beam snapping like a bone. His mother shoved him with every ounce of strength she had left, pushing him toward the back door. He fell into the mud, soaked, confused, sobbing. He reached for her, and then everything turned white-hot and silent. The fire swallowed their home. It swallowed her mother's voice. It swallowed his father's footsteps. The night stole everything. Cairo wandered until sunrise, bare feet, shaking hands, mud on his shirt. The only place he saw was an old broken house his parents always told him to stay away from. But that night, it became the only place he had left. He slept on the floor, cold, hungry, scared. Every sound made him flinch. Every gust of wind felt like the fire coming back. Time stopped meaning anything. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. And Cairo became a ghost in a house nobody lived in. A child swallowed by silence. But one morning, a morning that began like every other, everything changed. A moving truck rumbled into the neighborhood. Loud. Too loud. Cairo jolted awake, heart racing, eyes wide. New neighbors had arrived, and one little girl would hear what no one else did. But before anyone understood what was happening inside that old wooden house, a pair of tiny footprints would terrify the new neighbors and set everything in motion. Nora Thompson wasn't expecting anything unusual when she and her husband, Malik, moved to Brookhaven. They wanted peace, quiet, a simple place to raise their 8-year-old daughter, Alani. But on the very first morning, Alani stopped mid-stride in their backyard, head tilted, brows furrowed. "Mom, do you hear that?" Nora paused. "Hear what, honey?" "A sound, like someone's crying." Malik chuckled as he carried a box inside. "Sweetheart, that house is so old, the wind probably cries in there." But Alani didn't laugh. She stared at the abandoned house, eyes narrowing in a way that made Nora uneasy. Later that afternoon, Malik walked near the property line and froze. There, in the dirt, were tiny, barefoot footprints. Fresh. Too fresh. He called Nora over. She pressed a hand to her chest, her stomach tightening. Malik, those are a child's. A small child's. But things escalated the next morning. Alani, curious and brave in the way kids are before the world teaches them fear, wandered near the cracked window. She peered inside, and her entire face went pale. "Mom!" She stumbled backward. "Mom, there's a kid in there!" Nora ran. She looked through the window, and her breath caught. A little boy, curled on the splintered floor, dirt streaked across his legs, his shirt hanging off one shoulder, and his tiny hands wrapped around a dented tin can like it was a lifeline. His chest moved in shallow, tired breaths. "Oh, dear God," Nora whispered as her hand shook against the window frame. Malik joined her, eyes widening. "That's a baby. That's a baby." "We have to call someone," Nora said, but her voice broke. Malik nodded and pulled out his phone. But before he could dial, Nora did something she didn't plan, something instinctual, maternal, unstoppable. She pushed the old door open. The house groaned. Dust lifted into the air. The smell of cold wood and old sadness hit her like a brick. One slow step, then another. And there he was, inches away. Cairo, tiny, broken, exhausted. She knelt down slowly, her eyes stinging. "Sweetheart, can you hear me?" The floor creaked again. Cairo's eyes snapped open, wild, terrified. He scrambled backwards so quickly he hit the wall, gasping, whimpering, the can clanging across the floor. He lifted his trembling hands defensively, expecting pain. Nora froze, because every instinct inside her screamed that this boy had lived too long expecting the worst. Alani stepped beside her mother and gently held out a piece of bread with both hands. "It's okay," she whispered. "This is for you, if you want it." Cairo hesitated. Then his stomach growled so loudly it echoed. He crawled, not to them, but to the can first. Then slowly, shaking, he reached for the bread. For the first time in months, someone was kind to him. But this was only the beginning, because earning his trust would take more than food. It would take something Cairo hadn't felt in a long, very long time. Safety. The Thompsons didn't touch him. They didn't rush him. They didn't crowd him. They just sat outside the house with him, on the cracked steps under the Georgia sun, while Cairo clutched his can and watched them like a cornered animal, unsure if hands meant comfort or danger. Nora placed a soft blanket near him. Not on him, not around him, just near him. Malik whispered, "Take your time, buddy. We're not here to scare you." Alani talked softly about her favorite cartoons, her school friends, her dog that passed away last year. Stories Cairo didn't fully understand, but listened to anyway. Every time someone moved too quickly, he flinched. Every time a leaf snapped under their feet, he tensed, like he was bracing for fire. Hours passed, but slowly, very slowly, his shoulders loosened. His breathing steadied. He started watching their faces. Golden light pooled across the yard. And then it happened. Cairo stood. His little knees wobbled, his feet dragged, but he stood. Alani gasped softly, holding her breath. He took one step, then another. Then he reached out. Just a tiny tug on Alani's sleeve. A question without words. A plea without sound. "Do you want to come with us?" she whispered. Cairo didn't speak, but he didn't let go of her sleeve either. Nora pressed a hand over her mouth, tears escaping before she could hide them. Malik took in a shaky breath. "All right," he whispered. "Let's take him home." They walked slowly across the yard. Cairo stayed close to Alani's side, carrying his dented can, like a piece of his broken world he wasn't ready to leave behind. When they reached the house, the warm light spilling from the doorway made him freeze. He'd forgotten what a real home felt like. "Come on, baby," Nora whispered. "It's warm inside. You're safe now." He stepped forward. One tiny step into a new life. Inside, Nora bathed him gently, hands trembling, not from fear, but from the overwhelming care she felt for him. Malik brought warm soup, a small towel, clean clothes. Cairo ate in tiny, shaky bites, dropping the spoon every few seconds. Each time, Malik simply handed it back with a soft, "It's okay, try again." No rush, no anger, no fear. That night, Nora set a small bed on the floor next to Alani's. "You can sleep here tonight, just tonight, until we figure things out." Cairo stared at the soft blanket, then at Nora, then at Alani. He lay down carefully, like he wasn't sure the bed would stay there. He set his tin can beside the pillow, his old world resting beside his new one. Alani whispered, "Good night, little one." Cairo blinked slowly. And for the first time since the fire, he fell asleep without fear. But a single night of safety can't erase months of trauma. And what happened the next morning broke Nora's heart all over again. The sunlight slipped through the curtains in quiet strips. Alani was already awake, watching Cairo curled like a kitten under the blanket. "Mom," she whispered, "he's still sleeping." Nora smiled softly, but when Cairo suddenly jolted awake, gasping for breath, her smile fell instantly. He didn't know where he was. His eyes darted across the room, panic rising in his throat. He clutched the blanket, then the pillow, then the floor, searching for his can, his only anchor. When he spotted it, he grabbed it with both hands and held it tight. Nora knelt beside him slowly. "It's okay, sweetheart. You're in our home. You're safe." But Cairo's breathing wouldn't slow. His chest shook, his voice caught in his throat. He pressed himself against the wall like he expected it to protect him. Alani gently touched his shoulder. "Hey, you're okay." Cairo stared at her hand. Then something inside him cracked. A small sound escaped him, broken, quiet, the kind of sound a child makes when they want to cry but forgot how. Nora gently wrapped her arms around him, not tight, not sudden, just enough for him to choose if he wanted to pull away. He didn't. He leaned into her, slowly, lightly, like a child relearning what comfort felt like. That morning, Nora called the authorities, social services, trauma counselors, anyone who could help. But she refused to let Cairo leave her home without a plan. Hours turned into days. Cairo learned to say thank you in a whisper. He stopped flinching when Malik walked into the room. He laughed, one small, soft laugh when Alani spilled cereal all over herself. He still slept clutching the tin can, but now he didn't sleep alone. At the end of the week, Nora sat on the floor beside him and whispered, "We're here, baby. We're not going anywhere." Alani nodded proudly. "We're your family now." Cairo didn't speak, but he reached out, tiny fingers brushing Nora's wrist. Then he placed his hand in Alani's. And Nora cried for the third time that day. Because for the first time since the night the world burned, Cairo wasn't surviving. He was healing.
Sometimes the smallest kindness becomes the turning point in a life. Sometimes the softest voice is the only one a hurting child can hear. And sometimes opening one old door reveals a story that changes everyone forever. If this story touched your heart even a little, tap the like button so more people can find it. Share your thoughts in the comments. What moment hit you the hardest? And don't forget to subscribe. There are more emotional, life-changing stories coming, and you won't want to miss the next one.